inside. Surely he's got that one. Oh, they touch. Round goes Kartikeyan. Oh, we've got a car off already.
This is the effective battle for the lead.
We are going to have a 10th different winner in Superleague Formula. AC Milan plus Jelmer Berman. It's victory.
Hey, well done, guys. Dolby's out. Dolby's in trouble.
Are you hurt?
I'm all right. I think he's taken a bash to his wrist.
Watch the car on the inside. This is the effective battle for the lead. They go side by side.
Oh, they touch. Oh, no.
Corinthians has got up and over. Major drama at the start of the second race.
Jelmer Berman leads the championship after one of the best passing manoeuvres of the season. And now his sights are set on winning the title and €1 million.
Round 7 of Superleague Formula by Sonangol brings us to the county of Kent in the southeast of Great Britain. Less than an hour from central London, yet deep in the countryside of the area known as the Garden of England. Here at a venue that evolved from a humble grass track to become host of the British Grand Prix for many years, Brands Hatch delivers almost everything a driver could ask for and is the perfect setting for the latest instalment of football at 300 kilometres per hour. Hello and welcome from me, Ben Edwards. Alongside me is New Zealand racer Earl Bamber, and in pit lane chasing down the drivers and the stories, it's Abby Griffiths. The second half of the season is now underway, and here we are back in the UK for the second visit of the season. It all began at Silverstone, of course, but with new races being announced in China at the start of October, along with races in Italy, Portugal and Spain. There is still a huge opportunity for teams to score significant points and become title contenders. Well, the heart of the challenge today is the 2.6 mile Grand Prix circuit. Earl, I know you really like and have immense respect for this circuit.
Yeah, it's actually one of my favourites around the world. It's one of the old school tracks still around. It's got that element of danger in it, and it does bite when you get it wrong, and it has caught a few of our drivers out already.
Absolutely right. Well, 6 events have already been held so far this season, of course, and this is how the teams stand. AC Milan top the table for the first time this year after Tottenham failed to score in race 2 in Belgium. Anderlecht are third following a super final win last time out. Basel and Olympiacos have both won races. Further down, the 2 Portuguese clubs are tied on 223 points, and it's also tight for those trying to break into the top 10. Liverpool, Galatasaray and Corinthians could all leap up the order with a good weekend here. And Beijing may not have a vast collection of points, but they do have a pole and a win to their credit already. So all the teams will be chasing points this weekend, but for Liverpool's James Walker and for Tottenham's Craig Dolby, there's the extra incentive to win on home soil. Let's find out how they intend to handle the track.
This is Brands Hatch.
And this is our lap. Coming on to the start-finish line, you hug the pit lane, travelling quite fast, 6th gear, coming down to 4th gear into turn 1. Make sure you hit the apex, not use too much curb on the exit, otherwise it pulls you wide. Into turn 2, very late braking, easy to lock up. Make sure it's very difficult to get on a power, bit of oversteer there. Coming down into turn 3, early turn in, early on a power because it's slightly uphill. And then into this corner, going onto the Grand Prix circuit, it's very important because it's a long straight. So I'll pass you over to James.
So we're now in 3rd gear, up to 4th, up to 5th, up to 6th as we go under the low bridge. And as you can see, the circuit really dips down here. You get quite a lot of G in the compression. And then we've got turn 7 now, really quick, 5th gear, right-hander. Got to be careful not to run out too much over the curb on the exit. Now down to 3rd, careful of the curb, and you're really bumpy on the way out. Now down to what is now sheen curb, really blind on the way in, careful of the curb on the inside, not to run too much wide on the way out. Now again down to 3rd gear, a lot of camber in this left-hander, and now we're going down the straight, join back onto the in-circuit.
Coming into the final corner, it's a very tricky corner, very quick corner. Opens up very much on the exit, easy to drop a wheel on the grass, then back onto the start-finish lap.
And that's our lap.
So that's a look at the stage upon which the latest drama will unfold, and Jelmer Berman, who's now leading the championship, is all too aware of how close things are at the top of the championship table.
The new championship leaders in Superleague Formula is Jelmer Berman and his AC Milan team. But there are 6 teams who are currently threatening the top spot. There's over 100 points available if you win race 1, race 2 and the super final. Out of the top 6, anyone can win. AS Roma, 6th place, 104 points behind.
And we are going to have a 10th different winner in Superleague Formula in 2010 as AS Roma win at Zolder in race 2.
I think everybody in front of me at this moment are ready to win.
Olympiacos, 5th place, 59 points behind.
He's overshot his grid box.
Can he go backwards? He's in trouble already. He's already blown it, I think. Away we go, and the super final gets underway.
If we just keep going like this and get more points, I think we could stand quite a good chance by the end of the year.
FC Basel, 4th place, 50 points behind.
And the Swiss team, FC Basel, are going to come through to take victory here in race 2.
I think we have 6 drivers. They have the speed to win the championship. Yeah, we will see.
Anderlecht, 3rd place, 45 points behind.
100,000 euros goes the way of Davide Rigon and Anderlecht.
If we have no problem, we come out of here with less point to the front.
Tottenham, 2nd place, 8 points behind.
Oh, there's an accident! Dolby's out! Dolby's in trouble! He's been hit!
I'm going to give it large at every opportunity and fight for every last point possible and put on a great show for the fans.
AC Milan, championship leader.
Oh! Tottenham and AC Milan. AC Milan's gone past Tottenham.
I'm just going to do my own thing and I don't care about the rest.
So we've spoken to the leading contenders, but how did things go for them in qualifying? Well, it was definitely a session of ups and downs, the agony and ecstasy of motorsport on full display, as some of the favourites failed to perform, while less fancied runners did blossom. Let's take a look at what happened here in qualifying at Brands Hatch. The qualifying system began as ever with the draw for the group stages. Who was going to be in which group? Well, Group B was looking particularly competitive and the drivers were having some fun. Into the first group then, and those going through were Beijing, Seville, Sporting Lisbon and Bordeaux. But missing out, Anderlecht, one of the top 6 in the championship. They had problems in the morning, couldn't recover. In Group B, those going through were Tottenham, Olympiacos, Milan and AS Roma. But just missing out were FC Basel, another top 6 team not to make it, and Narain Karthikeyan tried hard but also didn't go through. Into the first quarter-final then, between Tottenham and Bordeaux. And in this case, Craig Dolby, who'd set a scintillating pace in the group stages, came out an easy winner to go through to the semi. In the second quarter-final, Beijing had it easy when AS Roma had problems. All John Martin had to do was cross the line, but Julien Jousse had a long walk home. Olympiacos came up against Sporting Lisbon in the third quarter-final, and Andy Soucek for Sporting Lisbon was into the semis. The last quarter saw AC Milan go up against Seville. Jelmer Berman determined to try and take his first pole position of the year, but he tried a bit too hard, ran wide through Paddock Hill Bend and handed an easy victory to Marcos Martinez. Having set the fastest time of the day, Tottenham were expected to beat Seville in the first semi-final, but it didn't quite turn out that way.
It's Seville have got through. The favourite has again been beaten.
In the second semi, Sporting Lisbon took on Beijing, the 2 green and white cars. But could John Martin make it into the final and try and take pole for the second time this year?
Here comes Andy Soucek about to cross the line. Who's going to make it through? He does it in 14-1, so Beijing is through.
And so we had our lineup for the final. A surprise in Seville, up against Beijing, looking for another pole position. It was building up beautifully and Beijing were flying.
He's had a big moment.
Now he's trying to get it all back, so he lost 4 tenths. This is going to be about the run to the flag. John Martin's going to push hard. Cross the line he goes. Cross the line goes Seville. 1:13.87. Seville has done it. Seville has done it. Fantastic.
So that was a look at qualifying, and this is how they line up on the grid. Marcos Martinez for Seville taking that surprise pole position. John Martin of Beijing alongside him. Andy Soucek for Sporting Lisbon well up on the grid, having won in Formula 2 here last year. And Craig Dolby is there in 4th for Tottenham Hotspur. Right behind him is championship leader Jelmer Berman of AC Milan. Chris van der Drift is dangerous from 6th place. Julien Jousse 7th for AS Roma. And Frank Montagny is back. He's for Bordeaux in 8th. Max Wissel 9th for Basel. And then Tristan Gomini for Galatasaray. They're on row 5. 11th on the grid, Narain Karthikeyan Cahen for PSV, and Duncan Tappy, little disappointed to be 12th for Flamengo. Alvaro Parentis 13th for FC Porto. Davide Rigon for Anderlecht down in 14th place, and James Walker struggling a bit in qualifying. He's 15th for Liverpool. 16th Robert Dornbos, he had a minor off in the morning. Frank Pereira is in the Lyon car this weekend. That's a new driver to that car, and Maria de Vallota completes the grid for Atletico Madrid. So, Seville, the surprise of qualifying, Earl. Great performance by Marcos Martinez.
Yeah, fantastic performance. He said yesterday this is where his season restarts and begins, and I think he did a fantastic job. No mistakes, and it'll be interesting to see how he handles the pressure starting from pole position today.
Well, Abby caught up with him just a few moments ago. Let's hear what he had to say.
Okay, Marcos, your first pole of the season. Can you get one step further, make it your first win, and be the 11th Super League Formula winner?
Yeah, yesterday we got the pole. We worked really, really hard all the weekend. And now we are the faster today, but the race is gonna be really tough. John, Andy, Craig, they are really, really fast drivers. They know the circuit more than me, but I'm gonna do my best to get the victory, and we will see.
Good luck.
John Martin looked to be good for pole yesterday, Earl, until that is, he made a little mistake, which you spotted straight away, into the left-hander at Surtees. Let's take a look back at what went wrong.
Yeah, he was up through the first sector. This is just starting, going through Surtees onto the back straight. Massive oversteering moment, no back straight speed, and lost 4 tenths.
So that was why he ended up on the outside of the front row. AC Milan, meanwhile, the championship leaders, of course, looked to be very fast, but he also made a mistake, went off into the gravel, so he's had to settle for 5th place on the grid. And in a way, more important is the fact that his big rival in the championship, Craig Dolby, is ahead of him on the grid. Now, Craig, we think, may be carrying a little bit of an injury. Let's just take a look back at what happened to him at Zolder and this accident off the start.
Yeah, he was incredibly unlucky. He had nowhere to go. And what the big thing is, how he gets injured is you just watch the steering wheel twist around when it hits the wall. Bang, right there. That's what did his injury to his wrist.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Craig may well be carrying a little bit of soreness still. Let's hope he's going to be okay. I'm sure he will be. He's a tough character. Now, of the top 6 in the championship, Anderlecht really the most disappointed in terms of what happened yesterday, because they're quite a long way down the grid, 14th place, and it was an accident in the morning free practice which really set them back, Earl.
Yeah, he was pushing hard, trying to learn the circuit, never been to Brands Hatch, and it really bit him hard into the wall and big damage to the front of the car.
Let's hear from Davide Rigon.
Davide, a tough time in qualifying yesterday. You're starting quite far at the bottom of the grid. You've got a lot of work to do.
For sure, I have a lot of work. I have not made mistake. Yesterday, the qualifying was not so good because we had to repair the car after free practice. And but okay, we have a not so bad car. Now I know the track, so also the weather looks not so easy. So we will see. It's a long race, a lot of lap here, very hard for the physical. So we will see. It's long, and then also we have a race too. So we will see.
So let's wind our way down the grid a little bit from that midpoint on the grid. We're going to look at 10th place car Galatasaray, the 31-year-old Tristan Gomendi at the wheel of this car, and yet to win a race this year, although he's won races in each of the previous 2 years. Alongside him, 9th on the grid, Max Wissel, hoping to maintain a Super League record of getting into each and every Super Final so far this year.
Lining up in 8th place, we have Frank Montani. He's doing a fantastic job on return for the Bordeaux club. He's looking for a great result this afternoon. And then we have lining up in 7th, Julien Juice. He didn't compete the quarterfinal. He was very, very upset with fuel pressure problems. He's very, very quick. He'll be expected to move forward.
Yes, he will. That's right. We saw good performances. Zolder. Olympiakos next up. Winner of a race in each of the last 3 events is Chris van der Drift. And he has won here at Brands Hatch in the past in the Formula Master Series. But next to him on the grid, of course, is the AC Milan car of Jelmer Berman, the series leader. And he's going to try and defend that championship lead from the next man on the grid.
Yep, lining up in 4th place on the grid is Tottenham Craig Dolby, 1 spot ahead of the championship leader. He's looking to make his way. He's going to be a very, very hard man to beat this afternoon. And then We have lining up third place. Andy Soucek spoke to him. Incredibly happy to be in third place on return for Sporting Club de Portugal. He's very, very happy to be in that spot.
Yeah, he loves this Brands Hatch circuit, doesn't he? Second on the grid, as we already mentioned, is John Martin, the Australian, who has raced here in A1GP. He's raced here in British Formula 3, so he loves the place. And quite happy to be on the outside of the front row, because the inside, which is where Marcos Martinez is, not always the advantage here. You can sweep round the outside into Paddock Hill Bend, and I can bet you that that's what John Martin's going to try and do.
Yeah, I can imagine as soon as they're in that position, they're all going to be on the power boost, firing into the first corner.
So all the cars now being fired up as we prepare for the first race of 3 today. The first 2 races are of a 45 minutes duration each, so 2 halves of a football match, and then we have what we call the super final at the end of the day. For the top 6 point scorers from those 2 races, they go into the €100,000 shootout, which is a fantastic climax to the day's activities. Cars about to move away on their formation lap. You see the grid scrolling through at the bottom of your screen as they head away, and it is Beijing and Seville that head them off into the first corner. Looks as though everybody's managing to get away. Last few cars on the grid, it is Maria de Vallota who brings up the rear of the grid in the Atletico Madrid car. She has raced here at Brands Hatch in the past in the Formula Palmer Audi series. And they are now just heading up towards the hairpin. So let's see if we can get a quick word with John Martin now for the Beijing car. John, this is Ben in the commentary box. Tell us what your thoughts are as you get ready for the start of this race.
Yeah, just trying to get the cars and the brakes going, get everything up to temp at this stage. Really looking forward to the race. I think we got a fast race car, so giddy up.
Giddy up, have a good one. Thanks very much, John. And we're going to have a quick word with Corinthians driver Robert Dornbos. Let's see. Robert, this is Ben in the commentary box. I know you had a bad day yesterday. Can you make it all come good today?
Just the wait and see. Only done 4 laps so far this weekend. Hopefully we can do a bit more today. And looking forward to the racetrack. I think the car is very good.
Thanks, Robert. Have a good race. So there we are, talking to 2 of the drivers on their formation lap, Pearl, and they're both sounding pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great to see we've got one guy right at the front of the field, John Martin. Real procedure, just warming up the tyres nicely. All he needs to do is get off the front row. And then we've got Corinthians. He's only done 4 laps, so I imagine these first couple laps of the race are really going to be his sighting laps of what he should have started in the first free practice session. But as we saw, he had that roll. He didn't have the best of starts, hitting the wall in the second free practice. It just really hasn't been his weekend.
No, he starts in 16th place on the grid, does Robert Dornbos of Corinthians. So as you say, plenty of work to do. Got a podium last time out, was really happy about that. So let's see if he can fight his way through. Not an easy track on which to overtake, though, is it?
No, it's not an easy track. We can see how narrow the circuit is. It barely takes 2 cars to fill up the whole track. As we see, they're starting to line up for this rolling start.
Heading down through the trees then, back onto what's known as the Indy circuit here at Brands Hatch. The front row cars, Seville and Beijing, coming through clearways. And as we prepare for this 7th round of Superleague Formula to get underway, will the white and red car of Seville hold on to pole, or will it be Beijing? Oh, we've got cars spinning wheels already, and as they get going, it's a good start from Seville. Marcos Martinez takes the lead. Beijing trying to go down the inside, though, into Paddock Hill Bend. That was a late lunge, and he's done it. He's done it. What a good move by John Martin to take the lead for Beijing. Seville pushed back into second, and look who's in third. It's Craig Dolby for Tottenham. As ever, he makes a good start, gains 1 place, and he's into 3rd position.
Yeah, that was a brilliant move by John Martin there. Really what he needed to do from the start of the race. And as we see, Craig Dolby always on a charge. He's 1 spot ahead of AC Milan now. Very, very important.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, he's got a car between himself and AC Milan. That's Andy Soucek in the green Sporting Lisbon car. Maria's made a couple of places, and PSV's dropped right to the back. So Narain Kartikayan has dropped a lot of places.
Yeah, we've got a car slowing in the background there going down the straight.
Keep an eye on that one. Beijing leads. Seville second. Under pressure from Tottenham. Here comes Craig Dolby on the attack.
Here comes Dolby. He's going up the inside. This is an incredibly hard place to pass.
Almost impossible place. Oh, and he was on the oil. Did you see that?
Yeah, there's some oil dust down there, so that's very, very slippery. The track's not quite investment. They hardly use the circuit, so they are still slipping around and sliding a lot.
So John Martin leads as they come back into sight of the fans on the banking at Clearways Corner onto the Brabham Straight, picking up the speed to 165, 170 miles an hour on the way into Paddock Hill Bend. Seville in second. Tottenham looking up, but I think he's got through. Yes, he has. We glance out of our commentary box window to get a view, and he's made it round the corner safely. John Martin didn't get the best start, Earl, but he sort of still went for that lunge, and he got away with it, didn't he?
Yeah, it's a really a corner with confidence, and John Martin's driven here a lot of times. It's Marcos Martin's first time, and that corner's so daunting at the start. You don't know how late to brake. You can't see where the apex is, and on the inside it's very tough.
So looking down the order, I'll keep an eye on the likes of Andy Soucek in 4th place for Sporting Lisbon. AC Milan, championship leader. Jelmer Berman is 5th. Galatasaray 6th. Olympiacos 7th. So Chris van der Drift lost out a bit. Corinthians, who we were talking to, he's made some places here, Elf. He's up to 11th place, Robert Dornbos, and he's got Basel behind him.
Yep, no, he's really charged up through the field. He's such an experienced driver, as we see. AS Roma, they didn't really have a great time yesterday, and I don't think it's going too well this morning for them either.
No, AS Roma running in 9th place at the moment, so a bit in the middle at the moment. So there are the push to passes on the screen on the top left of your graphic there. That is number 7 refers to how many push to pass shots they still have available, and Tottenham is having a bit of a go, looking at 2nd place, not using his push to pass just yet, but trying to line up that Seville car, and Marcus Martinez was a bit wide there.
Yeah, no, he's looking really strong, the Tottenham car. Got a beautiful race set up on it, and he's been the quickest man all weekend except for a mistake in qualifying, and he's putting real pressure on the 2nd place. Oh, as Corinthians just go off and lose a spot there to FC Basel.
Oh, that's a shame after a good start. Robert Dornbos made a good getaway, but he's just, as you say, lost 1 place to Basel, so that's 11th place to Basel. Corinthians now in 12th position, 13th for Anderlecht, and let's keep an eye on Anderlecht and see whether Davide Rigon can make any progress. Not going to be easy though, behind this car of, well in fact 2 now behind that car of Max Wissel. But Max Wissel, one of the top 6 in the championship, he needs to move up the order as well, learning this Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit as he goes. There he is, flashing through the shot. Then you've got Corinthians, then Anderlecht, then Porto, Liverpool, still a long way down there. James Walker in 15th place.
Yeah, James Walker's dropped a long way back from the start. He's been pressurised by Frank Pereira there. The big thing about this circuit is it's so hard to pass. They've all sort of trailed off following each other now, and that's why track position is so important at the Brands Hatch circuit, and teamwork this weekend. The pit stop is crucial.
Yep, we've got a pit stop to look forward to, but not just yet. We've still got a good race for 2nd here. Beijing are pulling away up front, the green and white colours of Beijing 1, the champion team in Super League of 2000. Oh, and Dolby, what are you doing? Nearly throwing it off the road.
Yeah, he's really pushing as hard as he possibly can at this early stage. He needs to keep it quite calm. There's no need to go off right now, Craig. You are beating the championship leader right now and going for a podium position.
That injured wrist doesn't seem to be holding him back at all, does it? But it won't do it any good to jar it like that with a hefty amount of opposite lock being applied on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend. In the background, Andy Soucek for Sporting Lisbon, not quite maintaining the pace. Let's take another look at the start, El.
Yeah, it looks like in the background there was a bit of a mess with Chris van der Drift, and then Galatasaray got a fantastic start. And let's look at this move for the lead. John Martin just did the switchback. Marcos Martinez thought he had the line, and then in the inside, pushing him a little bit wide. That was textbook stuff for Brands Hatch passing. That's how you do it.
Yeah, and he gave him all. Did they touch, or was that
I think there was a little bit of a touch. He just gave him enough room. Let's go on board Craig Dolby.
This is how it looked from Craig's point of view. So he was 4th here. Now he gets 3rd here somehow. Let's see how he did that.
Yep, just great confidence on the brakes. Knows the car very well. Round the outside, doing the opposite of John Martin in front of him.
Oh, I don't know if they touched or just interlocked briefly, and both of them tried to separate, but that was great stuff from both John Martin and Craig Dolby, and that's how Craig got 3rd. This is how it looked from Jelmer Berman's point of view.
Yep, he's sneaking up the inside of Craig, so Craig really had nowhere to go, and then he just dived around the outside. So that was a crucial move, because if he didn't do that, he was going to lose a spot to AC Milan.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jelmer Berman probably paying the percentage gain. There was nothing much he could do on the inside there except follow them through. And there's Beijing leading. There's Seville 2nd. Tottenham in 3rd. And the graphic showing us whether they've gained or lost from their grid position. Beijing up 1, Seville down 1, of course, but the biggest winner in that group, as you can see, is Galatasaray. They gained 4 places. So Tristan Gomedy there in the yellow and red striped car, sort of quartered yellow and red car of Galatasaray, up in 6th. That was a great start.
Yeah, that was coming from that mess where Chris van der Drift braked. We saw a lot of smoke, and then almost the Bordeaux crashing, and he just pounced and went straight up the inside. It was a brilliant move, and that's coming from his racing experience.
Corinthians gained 4. The biggest loser was PSV, losing 7, and is still at the back, I'm afraid, Narain Karthikeyan. He's maybe trying to get pole position for, or maybe he is now. He might not have thought about it earlier, but he's now maybe going to look to try and get pole position for the second race of the day. Remember, the second race sees an entirely reversed grid, and whoever finishes last in this one will be on pole position for race 2. Liverpool, the bright red colours, of course, of Liverpool Football Club. Driven by James Walker here. He's been looking after a number of guests and visitors this morning, explaining every detail of the car to them. He's under a bit of pressure, though, from the French team and driver, the Lyon team, Olympique Lyonnais, driven by Frank Pereira this weekend. Of course, Sebastien Bourdais was driving that white, blue and red car earlier in the season, but now it's Frank Pereira.
Yep, now it's Frank. He's back in the car. Let's go on board Liverpool. How's the car look? I was talking with James earlier. He just said he was struggling with overall grip. The car balance is really nice, and it looks nice from him here, but he's just lacking that bite and that extra confidence to push the tyres and push the car that little bit harder, and that's why we see him so far back down. It's really got the team scratching their heads a little bit.
And of course, it's so far down, we say, but in fact there's still some very quick guys around him, because Anderlecht, as we know, won the super final at Zolder last time out, so he's not going to be easy to pass, even though he's having a little look at it. On the screen you can see how many push-to-passes this group have. Liverpool still has 7 availabilities, if you like, to use the extra 50 horsepower or so that the push-to-pass gives you. And ahead of them, Anderlecht, well, they've got 1 less, they've got 6 to use.
Yeah, it's not too crucial right now, but you see this close group.
Liverpool...
Liverpool's on the power boost. He's going to try set up a move coming into Pekka Bin. He's very, very close to the Anderlecht car. Let's watch if he can get close enough. This is where you've got to pull the move, make him block, and then go dive him down up into the hairpin, but no, it's not close enough. Just struggles to get close enough with the downforce. That's a real key issue. And what I was going to say is they really can't pass. The cars are so big. So what's going to be so important, especially for these guys, is the pit stop. A good pit stop is going to jump them ahead and a couple of positions, and that's worth gold in this race.
Oh, this was PSV sliding. Did he manage to avoid the gravel? No, he went into the gravel. And is he altogether out? I'm not too sure. That was Narain Karthikeyan just a moment ago. Oh, he is out of the car. And that is very disappointing. So he will start from pole position, like it or not now, for the second race of the day.
Yeah, and Narain Karthikeyan really hasn't had a great weekend at all. There was big expectations. He was coming off a big crash at Zolder and hasn't gone his way. He's normally a Brands Hatch expert. He's won in every single category he's ever driven around here, so maybe this is his chance this afternoon.
Yeah, he might well, up front, fancy his chances of winning the second race. Top 3 go through. There's Andy Soucek in 4th. There's Jelmer Berman in the black and red colours of AC Milan. Galatasaray, Tristan Gomedy there. And then coming through Olympiacos and Bordeaux and AS Roma. And then this little tussle that's going on between Flamengo and Basel. So Basel closing up a little bit here. You've got Max Wissel versus Duncan Tappy. What's going on here? Liverpool still trying to get past Anderlecht, but no way through as yet. And Corinthians just breaking away from the other 3, just by a length or 2 over the last lap or so. Clock continues to tick away. We're getting closer to the pit window opening up, but we're not quite there yet.
Yep, and an interesting thing just coming through on our screens. Car number 3 and car number 22 are under report for not respecting track limits at turn 2. This means that they're putting all 4 wheels over the white line. They've been told in driver's briefing if they do it, they will get a drive-through penalty. They get 2 chances. Third time they're up to the steward's room, so those guys have got to be careful they don't get a drive-through, because that would really spoil their race today.
Yeah, drive-through would be an absolute killer blow in terms of trying to get decent points. So AC Milan in particular got to be very careful if they're under investigation already. The championship leader does not need a drive-through penalty while he's sitting here in 5th and Tottenham are sitting in 3rd. Yellows are still there for PSV being off in the gravel trap. They are moving in a car, so that's good news. They're going to clear it out of the way, and then cars will be allowed to overtake up in that section once the car's been moved to a place of safety. Back down they come towards clearways. There's Narain Karthikeyan. He's okay. He's just got to sit and watch now.
Yep, and that group there that we were just looking at are really slow, as we see the Liverpool car right behind the Anderlecht car again. Can he make a move into Paddock Hill Bend?
Had a look, but he didn't quite do it. And David Arrigon might have just had to defend a bit harder. Walker having a little look up into Druids, but again, not quite close enough. Rigon has left the door a little bit open, but there's not space on the exit of the corner. And right behind now, better watch out, because Frank Pereira's going to join in.
Yeah, and now Anderlecht's on that push to pass, trying to pull a bit of a gap. And these cars are really, really struggling. They're about 3 seconds slower than our leader right now. So very, very funny situation in the race to be that far off the pace, and Anderlecht has really struggled with that crash, getting the car set back up, and Davide Rigon never doing any laps around this Brands Hatch Indy Grand Prix circuit. It's a very difficult track. Look how quick this corner is. 5th gear in the race, very, very fast, back down to 4th for Westfields. Very, very fast.
Yeah, so this is a lovely section up through Dingledell into Sheen Curve here. Pereira, like quite a few of the drivers, having to learn this full Grand Prix circuit, not really done much here in the past, and there's a number of drivers in Super League who've had to learn it pretty fast, but of course they're all very high quality drivers. We've got champions from all sorts of disciplines, and James Walker there knows the track quite well from his British Formula 3 experience, so maybe he's going to have another little look at getting past the Anderlecht car. David Arrigon for Anderlecht hasn't driven here before and had a bit of a tough time yesterday with that off at Druid, so his confidence might not be as high as he would have liked.
Yeah, and you can see he's really struggling up at that hairpin where he did have his crash yesterday, and that's where the Liverpool car gets really, really close, but it's so difficult to pass here, and you're really doing a fantastic job if you do make a passing move. And I think the car that's really slow is the Corinthians car. Robert Dornbos has struggled with setup. He was saying to me earlier he had the Indy setup after repairing the car. The steering wheel was off to one side, and he's really holding these guys up. He's in the 117s while the leader is in the 114s. It's a very big difference, and the next car in front's in the 116s. So I think the Corinthians car is the one that's holding these guys up. Oh, as we see Liverpool trying to make a move, showing them in the mirrors, but when you do that, it brings back up the Olympic Lyonnais car of Frank Pereira closer to him.
Yeah, so he's got to be a bit wary. It's funny that Corinthians, because you're right, he's definitely slowed down over the last lap or so. He sort of got away from them for a little while, and now they've been able to catch them up. So now we gather that the Milan team manager has been asked to go to race control to discuss whether they've been using too much truck. If they have and they get a drive-through, that will be a big penalty for AC Milan, but let's wait and see what happens as Liverpool get down the inside. Liverpool has made the move. He's got past Anderlecht, and James Walker has got Liverpool ahead of that Anderlecht car. It only brings him up into 13th place, but he's been fighting for it for lap after lap.
Yep, no, that was a fantastic move. It's so hard to pass around Brands Hatch, but that was a brilliant move. And then immediately, the Liverpool car's right on the back of Corinthians, putting the pressure on.
Yeah, can James Walker gain another position here at the expense of the Brazilian Football Club Corinthians? Liverpool will have their fans here today. They'll be cheering on their machine, and that distinctive Dago crash helmet of James Walker. As he's gained one place, can he now try and gain another one to get past Corinthians? This is how he did it.
Yeah, this is how he did it. He was on the power boost, up the inside. When you do that pass, you've really got to place the car the whole way in. You can't just put your nose in, otherwise there'll be a crash. And that was just confidence, track knowledge. Let's go on board and have a look at that pass here. And then on the brakes much later, very, very confident in what he was doing, knew where to place the car, textbook move.
And he's got past Corinthians, and Corinthians in trouble, as you said. Oh, you spotted that he was getting slower, and definitely he's in big trouble. I don't know what. This car has been a completely rebuilt car. Oh, and look, he's trying to keep Pereira on board with Frank Pereira. He's got to have a little look down the inside into paddock, and in the end, Dornbos doesn't actually fight that hard. He just wasn't going to make it totally easy.
Yeah, I think Dornbos has realised he's got a problem. Here we go, on board with Liverpool. See where he gets him. Oh, that's a brilliant move, banging it up the inside. Obviously, Corinthians do have a problem. It's a very strange place to get past. And now James Walker can get on with his own race and set his own pace and hopefully move up through the field.
Yeah, that's put him into 12th place now, so decent bit of progress being made by James Walker for Liverpool.
Yeah, and as we see Robert Dornbos falling right to the back of the field. That's a great shame because he's an incredibly talented driver, driven Formula 1, and he doesn't deserve to be back there. As we go, the pit window has just opened.
Yep, so we're expecting a flurry of pit stops pretty soon, and it looks like AC Milan is one of the first in. Just taking another look at that replay of Liverpool going down the inside into the left-hander at Sterling's, but AC Milan into the pits, Galatasaray into the pits, but interestingly not the race leader at Beijing, nor Seville, nor Tottenham. They've all stayed out there for the moment.
Oh, and we've got a man down.
Yeah.
One of the crews down. That's a big story for Galatasaray. What's happened here? No, this is terrible for them.
Oh, what a shame. They had a great start. AC Milan, meanwhile, are getting going again. There's a limit to the number of people who can work on the car, so they can't just throw people at it and try and sort it out when somebody gets injured like that. And so a very slow stop for Galatasaray. And after making up so many places from his grid spot, he made 4 places at the start. Poor Tristan Gomedy, it just all went wrong, but you've got to feel, I hope that guy's okay in the pit lane. Let's hope he's not badly injured.
Yeah, hopefully the pit crew, that's the main thing, is all about safety. But Christian Gomedy, that's really destroyed his race, wasting about 20 seconds in the pit lane there with a bad stop. And as we were talking about, it's all about teamwork and the driver and his mark, as we have the race leader into the pits.
So Beijing in, John Martin in, but Craig Dolby stays out. Seville is in. Now this is crucial for Dolby in particular in trying to take second place. Beijing came in with a pretty comfortable lead here. Now, as long as they get a decent stop and there aren't any problems, got a good set of tyres going on there, and it's a great stop.
Yeah, onto brand new tyres, and Seville, very, very smooth stop as well.
Yeah, no change between those two. The big question mark will come when Dolby comes in, because he has stayed out there for at least one more lap.
Yep, and Dolby's on the power boost right now. This is what he needs to do. He needs to bang in some incredibly fast lap times. We know he's fast, as we see Sporting come through as well. And we have a bit of a move there with AC Milan coming through on FC Porto.
Yeah, but what's interesting is that Sporting Lisbon are still ahead of Milan after the two of them have made their stops. Anderlecht coming into the pits as well. Remember, they were battling with Liverpool before. Liverpool got past, so still pretty close. Lyon, a little bit of a slower stop there perhaps for Lyon, but they get him going, and Frank Pereira's on his way. And I'm just looking out of the pit bar. Yeah, Anderlecht's actually got back in front there of Liverpool, haven't they?
Yeah, Liverpool had a terrible stop there, so that's really, really unfortunate for him. And here we go, the race leader into the pits. Can he make a position on Seville?
This is it then. Will he get second place? This is all about the pit stop. Listening to the radio. Let's try and pick up what they're saying here. Giving many instructions perhaps. He just wants a smooth stop. Let's see. Beijing, I think, will retain the lead. There's not too much question about that. It's really about second. Away goes Dolby. He lays down the rubber. Seville heading through clearways. Look at the background. The white and red car is Seville. Dolby's appearing on the left-hand side of the picture. But surely it's going to be a tight run thing. No, it's going to be Dolby coming out in third place. No way that he could really challenge Seville. And Seville have got second. And so that pit stop really hasn't affected things.
No, it hasn't really affected us. If anything, I think Craig Dolby's lost a lot of time to Seville, so that's a great shame. And Andy Soucek's really right behind the Tottenham car right now.
Now we've had news about the Galatasaray mechanic who we saw spread eagled in pit lane. We gather the medics have been down there, and he's a bit knocked, but he isn't seriously injured, so that's good news. He's not seriously hurt. The medics down there just checking him over, but obviously winded, and we didn't quite see what happened, but it looked like just a nasty tumble in pit lane. He is going to be okay. That's good news. Meanwhile, battle's continuing on here. Basel versus Flamengo. I think Basel may have just got ahead of Flamengo. AS Roma in that little group as well. So Julien Jus, I think, lost out a bit on the stop. Looked like it was a pretty good stop for FC Basel.
Yeah, FC Basel's team are really, really slick. As we see, FC Basel putting real pressure. No, Max, you can't pass there, but can he do something into Westfields?
Bit too far behind, isn't he? But you can see how much curve they use over the bumps on the exit of the corner as well. And Max Wissel still learning the track like some of the drivers, but Julien Jus ahead of him did race here in Formula 2 last year, so he knows the circuit reasonably well.
Yeah, Julien's been really struggling with fuel pressure problems all weekend, and just like Zolder with a gearbox, they're not sure if they'll fix them for the race, so that's a great shame. As we see Chris Vanderdrift coming through as well.
So let's just count them through here at the moment. The leader of the race actually at the moment is Bordeaux, because Bordeaux have not yet stopped, so Beijing in second, but first of the stoppers, of course. Little battle you're looking at there with Maria de Vallota. She's coming back out onto the circuit. Craig Dolby, interestingly, using his push to pass on this lap as well. You can see how the graphic turns red when a driver or team use the push to pass. Sporting Lisbon have also been using it in their attempts now to close up to that little group of cars ahead of them. AS Roma running in 8th place. We saw Basel right behind in 9th. But remember, we're going to wait to see where Bordeaux rejoin when they do make their pit stop. Up front at the moment, Frank Montagny, but GDB stands for Girondin de Bordeaux, and they still have to make their pit stop. And this car, therefore, is still the effective race leader, and he's just set a new fastest lap.
Yeah, he's setting some really cracking lap times right now on the power boost with new tyres. You know, John Martin's looking really composed this morning and doing the job and doing the business, setting fastest lap.
Meanwhile, AC Milan still running okay at the moment. They're in 6th, which will become 5th when Bordeaux make their stop. We're still waiting to see Frank Montagny come into the pits. Big gap as we look back to Olympiakos coming through in 7th place there. Chris van der Drift not showing quite the pace we expected. AS Roma next up in that battle with Basel, then Flamengo in another red, white and black car. And Galatasaray, the big loser on that pit stop after their Paul Mechanic got tumbled over. There is Tristan Gomedy then. He was running 6th, if you remember, before the stops. He's now running in 11th. Yeah, that just shows how important it is teamwork in this sport. Everyone thinks it's just the driver out there, but they do have a pit stop, so the team has got to really work together. And as you can see, Christian Gomedy, fantastic start, making all those positions up. Oh, as we have Anderlecht looking up the inside of FC Porto. No, can't get it done. And this is a great gaggle and a great battle. So you have Olympique Lyonnais looking up the inside. This is good stuff. Anderlecht involved in there. Liverpool leading the group at the moment. There's FC Porto, the blue and white car. Varro Parent driving that one. And then Anderlecht, as we know, a championship contender, but really struggling to get many points here at the moment. And then on board with Frank Pereira here of Olympique Lyonnais, taking over that drive from Sébastien Bourdais, who took a victory at Silverstone earlier in the year. Another new fastest lap this time for Tottenham, interestingly. Tottenham still running in 3rd, some 2.8 seconds behind Seville's Marcos Martinez. Bordeaux have finally made their pit stop, so everybody now has pitted, and it's Beijing on top, Seville in 2nd, Tottenham in 3rd, Sporting Lisbon in 4th, AC Milan in 5th, and we'll wait to see where Bordeaux actually does come out. It's shown 6th on that classification, but I think we'll see them further down that list when the timing and scoring resets itself after another lap. Yeah, as we have Olympique Lyonnais looking at Anderlecht again. Can he do something into Patrick? He'll been very, very hard around the outside, but he'll be looking to cross him back over. And look at this on the power earlier. Can he do something up into the Gerard's hairpin? Anderlecht blocking, very, very difficult to get past. Yeah, but David Rigon doing everything that he has the right to do, just moving across once to prevent an opportunity to Frank Pereira to go up the inside there. And as they come along the back Cooper straight, there's no way through there into Surtees. Bit of braking there, but you're braking almost on the turn, so it's a very difficult place to overtake. Yeah, no, it is a very, very difficult place to overtake. The whole circuit is. And I think we're nearing the stage where we've had the pit stops and the drivers are settling down. They've still got another 20 minutes of racing to go, which is a very, very long way, and the fuel loads are burning off, and they'll be starting to... They've got an adjustable front roll bar in the car, which they can play with. You won't see them change it very much because they've got to be unloaded in a straight line, and there aren't very many straights around the circuit, but they can adjust that to adjust the car's setup and balance if they've got a problem throughout the race, which is another interesting thing to think about. Now Basel just coming through. Keep an eye on those push to passes that they've got available. Oh, and off goes Julien Schus. Will he clear the tyres? He just misses it. It's a sort of wall of death act as he just cleared the tyre barrier, gets back on the circuit and comes right out in front of Duncan Tappy and Tristan Gomedy. Yeah, no, that was really, really spectacular. It's so easy to make a mistake around here, and this track really does bite. If there was a new circuit, there'd be runoff and he wouldn't lose any positions, but because of this Brands Hatch circuit, he's lost a couple spots, and the big problem now is that car will be full of gravel, and he's under pressure from Flamengo. Can the Flamengo team, Duncan Tappy, do something with AS Roma and get past? Trying around the outside up to Hawthorns. That's got to be brave to try that there. There's very little space for one car, let alone two, and Tristan Gomedy. Tristan Gomedy's going to take full advantage of that. Well, that was canny racing from the experienced Frenchman in the Galatasaray car, because he saw the move being attempted, saw the loss of momentum, took full advantage. Yeah, no, that was brilliant thinking on Tristan Gomedy's behalf. He looks really sharp this morning in this race, making a brilliant start. Unfortunate for his pit stop. Let's have a replay here. Just dropping those wheels off the side into the gravel and just missing the wall. That was close, wasn't it? Those the cameraman and the marshals up there almost had too much of a view of that car. Let's see what it looked like from the FC Basel car. He's missed the apex in the dirty stuff. Big twitch, had to correct, and into that gravel, and FC Basel says thank you very much. And look at the gravel that throwing into Basil's face. Yeah, it just gives you an idea. That would have been hitting his crash helmet as well. And Pereira's got past Anderlecht, so Lyon have gone ahead there of Anderlecht. That's for 14th place. Looking at the bottom of the screen there, just look at who got the best pit stop in terms of the total time in pit lane. 29.5 for Seville. That was a good stop. 29.3 for Sporting Lisbon. So that was one of the best in the top 6, as you can see. But they're all pretty close to one another. 28.5 for Olympiakos. Meanwhile, Corinthians dropping back. And Galatasaray, after that guy got knocked over, that's the result, a 44-second pit stop. Yeah, and that's huge time. That's 20 seconds. And to make 20 seconds up back on the racetrack is so, so difficult. As we go on board Olympique Lyonnais, Yeah, this is how he got past Anderlecht.
Yep, brilliant run onto the straight here, going around the outside, the preferred line now, braking nice and late and giving the Anderlecht car no chance to come back up the inside. That's a good move from Frank Pereira.
So Lyon up one into 14th position. Meanwhile, just to remind you, up front is still Beijing, but this battle has definitely got closer over the last few laps. A few laps ago, remember I said it was 2.8 seconds, the gap between that car, white and red machine of Seville, and Tottenham, the blue, white and yellow car of Craig Dolby. Now, when they came across the line just now, it was only 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, Craig Dolby's on a real charge. He had new tyres after the pit stop. He set the fastest lap by 3 or 4 tenths on anyone else on the circuit, and now he's lapping about 7 tenths faster than the man in front, but it isn't an easy place to pass around Brands Hatch.
No, you can get to a certain distance, then of course the aerodynamics start to take effect and you start to lose grip, and if anything he's lost a bit this lap. It was 0.6, it's now gone up to 1.2. I wonder if he made a little mistake somewhere on that last lap. Meanwhile, we're just taking a look again at that moment that AS Roma suffered through the gravel trap, that little wiggle.
Yeah, that's what it was. Just as it came down the hill, it's where you're cracking open the throttle, applying, and the rear wheels just slip. Massive oversteer moment. When you've got oversteer, all you can do is straighten up and off into the gravel. Bye-bye, AS Roma.
Our cameraman had a very close-up view of that AS Roma car, didn't he? A bit closer than he probably hoped, but Roma got away with it, rejoined the track. Meanwhile, Tottenham still trying to close that gap. Look how he gained over laps 19 and lap 20, but for some reason, on lap 21, surely he must have made a little error somewhere.
Or the other thing is Seville could have been on the power boost for that lap. So the drivers use the power boost to pass, but they also use it to defend. So when a driver comes up behind, he presses it, and it means that he can get that extra 50 horsepower, so the Tottenham car can't get behind. As we see, the Tottenham team there looking quite happy, their man in the podium position right now, and this man out front hasn't put a foot wrong. I don't want to put the commentator's curse on, but he does look very, very strong today.
Yeah, he looks superb. He's had one win already this season, John Martin. That was at Harama, but he's looking dominant currently. Seville have 5 push-to-pass availabilities, and Tottenham have 4. So not much to choose. You can look at the ranking on the left there. That gives the race order: Beijing, Seville, Tottenham, and the number of push-to-passes still available. Basel only have 3, for example, and Galatasaray only have 2 left now, down in 10th place, after Tristan Gombardi's rather up-and-down race so far. Yeah, on board here with Alvaro Perez.
Yeah, looking very, very smooth out there.
Yeah, down in 13th place, isn't he, at the moment?
Yep, the car in front of them, Liverpool FC. Liverpool's having not a bad race now. They're starting to pick their way back up through the field, obviously getting past Porto at some stage.
Yep, so Liverpool running 12th. Of course, the reverse grid in the second race of the day will bring them up a little further. Whoa. That looks a bit slippery, turning into paddock.
Yeah, that didn't look too nice. That was very, very nasty, and it's not a point in the track where you want that to happen. He looks very, very strong in the hairpin there.
Yeah, car turns in tightly. He's able to hold it nice and close to the apex. Definitely could be a threat for Liverpool, this, in the closing part of the race. Still just over 15 minutes to go in the first of 3 races here at Brands Hatch today for these V12 powered 750 brake horsepower Super League cars. They are loud, I can tell you, out there watching these cars. It's very loud indeed, but they are dramatic. Seville, I think, just ran into the gravel a little bit there, and in fact they've lost second. Tottenham has taken second. This is big drama. Tottenham are into second place. There he is. Seville has dropped down to third, and I think he did a similar thing to what we saw Julien Juste do. Let's check here, Earl.
Yep, let's watch. Huge twist
into the gravel trap, and look at Dolby, just took full advantage.
Yep, huge twitch. Let's go on board offline. That's the key thing. On the power, too much power, huge oversteer moment, and through the gravel and getting very, very close to that wall again. Lucky to pull it out of there. And look who we see go through, Tottenham and Craig Dolby.
Well, he's always there to pounce, isn't he? Dolby has definitely pounced. He's into second place. Oh, and that hurts the Seville team. But it's still a potential podium. Now, I wonder how close Andy Soucek will be now to the back of the Seville car. We're on board with Craig Dolby here. Look at him. You can just feel the enjoyment, the relish that he's getting out of driving this Brands Hatch.
And he's just on the radio there, the team asking. asking how many minutes remaining in the race. You've got 14 left, Craig. It's still a long, long way to go in this.
Yeah, I hope his wrist is holding up, because this is, if you've got an injury, a wrist injury like we think Craig may be carrying, it's at this point in a race where you're into a good second place, but really no chance of catching the leader, where things start to hurt.
Yeah, and I was talking with Chris Andrejeff last night, and he said that these cars are one of the heaviest cars that he's ever driven, and it's very, very hard with the amount of caster and geometry in the front to actually turn the steering wheel. You almost need to use two hands just to turn one way, and I imagine that wrist problem there with Craig Dolby. He's got through into second, and now he goes, oh, just please the race finish with that wrist there. It'll be really straining it.
Now, how much do you think, we're on board with him now, how much, he's got 4 push to passes, will he actually see if he can close on Beijing? They do share engineering knowledge. He knows that John Martin's car is pretty similarly set up to his own. Does he try and pull down that 6-second gap, or does he settle for second place here?
I think for the moment he's a long way ahead of AC Milan. He'll probably take back the championship lead if he continues with this fastest lap. I think for him he should just consolidate right now and not make any mistakes. We've seen a couple guys make mistakes later on in this race, and Craig Dolby doesn't want to make the same mistake as them.
Just looking at the progression from where they started the race, Tottenham up 2 places, of course, from where they started. Bordeaux up 2 places, so actually staying out for that extra bit of time seemed to work for Frank Montagny, and it worked out pretty well. Meanwhile, so there's pretty happy faces down there at Spurs.
Yeah, as we go on board the Beijing car, they're coming up into the fast corner.
Yeah, Beijing with a very, very good lead at the moment. There's no doubt about it. That it's come down to just under 6 seconds, but with 12 and a half minutes remaining, I think John Martin will be fairly happy. His last lap was very similar in lap times, only a tenth slower than Tottenham's, but the two of them are flying. Sporting Lisbon, though, going well, and Jelmer Berman for AC Milan still lapping quickly. Last lap was a 1:14.0. He's in 5th place, not far behind Sporting Lisbon. In fact, potential battle developing here, Earl, because he got Seville, which are now in 3rd after that error that we saw, being chased by the green car of Sporting Lisbon with Andy Soucek, and then this car we're riding with now, the black and red machine of AC Milan.
Yeah, no, Seville look to be struggling now after that moment. Something's obviously gone wrong with the car a little bit, because we have Sporting Lisbon looking up the inside. Can he do something? No, he can't.
Andy Soucek is definitely getting very close to the back of Marcos Martinez. 2 Spanish drivers here, with one Spanish football club ahead of one Portuguese football club, and there was little to choose between them. And you can almost feel Marcos Martinez beginning to struggle a little. And right behind them as well, of course, is championship leader Jelmer Berman. And if they start dicing like that and going side by side, he's going to get even closer.
Yep, it only takes one little mistake, and then Jelmer Berman, championship leader, will pounce. But Andy Soucek's a very, very wise campaigner, and he's been around for a long time. But Seville looked very, very slow after that off, and they've dropped a lot of time. That last lap time there was a 1:16, 1.5 seconds slower than the leader. And I can imagine going through the gravel, there could be gravel in the wheel rims, inside the side pods, which is effectively the cooling of the car, which then means that the engine will start to overheat.
And the other thing that can happen, in fact happened, is you told me to the AC Milan car, you can get gravel in between the brake caliper and the rim sometimes, start wearing away your wheel.
Yep, and then you're in all sorts of trouble, having a puncture or something like that. As we see Andy Soucek coming to pass another lap, he's not as close as what he was last time out.
No, and he's not, I don't think he's on the power boost this time either, the push to pass. Jelmer Berman is close behind, though. Look at the fastest lap times of the race so far, and it's Tottenham that have got the fastest lap. The race leader, Beijing, have had a good gap throughout, so they haven't perhaps needed to push quite so hard. But Seville, early on in the race, did a good lap, a 13.7. He's not doing those laps now. Last time, he's just done a 1:15.1. So Seville much slower at this stage in the race than he was earlier.
Yep, no, he's really struggling. I imagine the rear tyres are starting to go, starting to fatigue inside the car as well, having to turn the wheel. It's always very high G-force and hard on your neck around here. As we see AC Milan getting very close to Sporting, there's nothing going to happen around this side of the circuit, but it is becoming a really heated battle with Seville, obviously the slower car. And interesting with the fastest lap times, you may ask, why aren't some of the quicker guys further to the front like Tottenham? Well, it's not a race of who can set the fastest lap, but who can set over the 45 minutes, do the whole distance at the quickest time. That's what it's all about, and Beijing have been doing a great job at that. It's about consistency, not outright pace in a race.
Basil on their push to pass, and it's their last one, as you can see from the graphic. In 8th place, Basil used their push to pass on this lap, but we're going to concentrate on this tussle here because it is for the final podium position we're looking at. At the moment, Seville trying to hold on to it, and they've had such a rough season. A podium finish would be a real boost to them on top of the pole position they scored yesterday. But eager to snatch it away is Andy Soucek, who in turn is on for his best ever finish in Super League, even if he stays 4th. But he wants to go better. He wants to be on that podium. And right behind is Jelmer Berman, who knows that championship points are disappearing and that he will lose the championship lead if things stand as they are, because Tottenham are in 2nd, he's down in 5th, and he will lose the lead in this championship unless he does something about these 2 ahead.
Yep, no, he really needs to do it. This is where the pressure's on. He was the man coming into this round, but a mistake in qualifying has really, really hurt him, and effectively going to hand the championship back to Tottenham if everything stays the same right now.
It's going to keep it very close though, isn't it? Even throughout today we could see the championship lead switching and changing from AC Milan and Tottenham in the 3 races that we've got here today. The super final, which pays out the big money at the end of the day, pays out some points. You get 6 points for the win. I tell you what, with only 6 points between, 8 points between the top 2 coming into this race, those 6 points could be the difference as to who goes away from Brands Hatch as championship leader. Across the line they come. 8 minutes remain. Still some push to passes available for some of those teams, as you can see. Lyon currently using it all the way down in 14th position as they try and chase down FC Porto, FCP just ahead of them. But this is the race for 3rd, and currently it's the white and red car of Seville, of Spanish driver Marcos Martinez, who's just maintaining his edge over Andy Soucek there, and Jelmer Berman. Soucek, the test and reserve driver for Virgin Formula 1 team. But he's enjoying being back out in race conditions at the moment.
Yep, he is really enjoying it and really relishing the challenge. He said that field is incredibly competitive as AC Milan are looking up the inside, but really that's not a place to pass, to be honest, around here. You need to be doing that in the first turn at Paddock Hill Bend.
Yeah.
But he's really relishing the challenge and thinks the competition is at an incredibly high level. And he's just relishing the challenge, and he'd love to get on the podium here this afternoon.
Well, he's not far off it, is he? One little more slip up from Marcos Martinez, and he will be on that podium. Beijing still lead this race. The gap back to Tottenham. Let's look at the lap times recently. You can see Tottenham did gain a bit on lap 27, but the last 2 laps there's been really nothing in it between the lap times of Beijing and Tottenham. So a little bit of anxiety down in pit lane, but it's still a 5.3 second gap. That's a big margin, really, in Super League terms. 5.3 seconds. As long as John Martin just keeps his cool and doesn't make a mistake like he did in qualifying yesterday, he should be okay.
Yep, no, exactly. And I've been talking to John Martin a lot, and he's been saying that he's got the pace. He can match everyone in the field. He just needs things to go his way. And so far today, things have dropped onto place, and he's true to his word. He's out front and he's winning. And the Tottenham car here, Craig Dolby, he's the man that's on the charge. He always throws the car around. Let's go on board. He's brilliant to watch.
Yeah, he's been using his push to pass as well. Down to just 2 remaining as Liverpool on the attack of Corinthians, who's been struggling throughout this race but still running. Robert Dornbos, FC Porto going through as well. Liverpool currently running in the 12th position. FC Porto obviously in 13th place. Lyon next up to try and get past that car, but Robert Dornbos, they've rebuilt that car after that rollover at Zolder, but they've had problems with it all weekend.
Yeah, it takes a lot for a team to rebuild a car in a week and a half since the last round. They would have been working all week long just to get it to the racetrack, and to get the car finally tuned and perfect takes a lot of time, and that's why we see the Corinthians car struggling so much. As we see FC Porto coming through, still right behind Liverpool, but really can't do anything.
Interesting lap time just a moment ago from Tottenham. Craig Dolby, a 1:14.2. He's really pushing despite being well over 5 seconds off the race leader. It's typical of Dolby in a way. It sort of sums up Craig Dolby's approach. Whereas some drivers might well settle in second where he is right now, Dolby is just flat out maximum attack lap after lap, isn't he?
Yeah, I can tell you that that second word isn't in Craig Dolby's vocabulary. He finished second last year in the championship, and if you ask him about finishing second, he didn't finish second, he's vice champion. So second isn't in Craig Dolby's vocabulary, and that's why he continues to push on so hard.
Yeah, that's why he's such an entertaining driver to watch, and you can look at the lap times compared to Seville. We're following Seville on the sporting car at the moment. And you can see how quick Tottenham is going, but he's chasing after that car, the green and white car of Beijing. But right now, John Martin does have this race under control. Another good lap there, 14.4. Let's see what Tottenham does behind. He did a 14.2, now he's done a 14.5. I cannot see any way that Craig's going to close that 5.2 second gap. This is still the race, though, for third. And interestingly, over the last couple of laps, after that excursion into the gravel, Marcos Martinez has gradually picked up the pace again, and he's back in the 1 minute 14s.
Yeah, this track's really all about rhythm. It's about driving the car, pushing hard, but if you try push too hard, then you actually end up going slower. And imagine when you come out of the gravel, you're thinking, oh, I've got to make up for it. So then you start pushing really hard and you just make slight mistakes, and it doesn't quite work around here. To drive around here, it sounds funny, you've got to drive slow to be fast. Yeah, and Dolby now coming up to lap Maria de Vallota in the Atletico Madrid car. She's running down in 16th place. Blue flags up there at Westfield. Yeah, this is again, she did it the last race and now she's doing it again. He's been behind her for a couple laps.
Now he gets through.
Yeah, there was a bit of radio chatter there from Craig Dolby that I could hear. Wasn't very happy with Maria's antics under blue flag.
Yeah, apologies for any language he may have used there, but you could understand him being a little upset at not being able to get past Maria. But as we just tuned into the radio, let's just see. This was actually earlier when he was trying to get past and he was getting a bit agitated.
Yeah, this is the worst thing. He's trying to catch the race leader, and you know, Maria's going quite well. She's not down the back of the field, but hey, this is not what you need when you're trying to chase the race leader down.
Yeah, the race leader getting through some other traffic quite easily, and in fact Craig lost 7/10 of a second or 6/10 of a second on that last lap as a result of trying to get past Maria. So all that work that he'd done in the previous laps, chipping away about 2/10 of a second, 1/10 of a second, suddenly it's all undone in trying to get past a single car. But that's what Seville's out. That's real drama. Seville out of third place. My goodness, we've got a change of podium now, because that will pull Antti Souček up into third place for Sporting Lisbon, and it'll bring AC Milan up another position as well, so it helps Jelmer Berman.
Yeah, no, that's an incredible shame. Seville starting from the pole, that's an incredible shame. And it wouldn't surprise me if the engine's overheated. Going through the gravel, it doesn't do any favours to the car.
That's right, and you've got to feel for Marcos Martinez, though. He's had such a miserable season. Look, here you are. You've got the race now for third place between these two, between the green car of Antti Souček, the black and red, the AC Milan colours, with Jelmer Berman, the Dutch driver, who wants to retain that championship lead, but knows that Tottenham's heading for 45 points in this race. At the moment, he's heading for 36 points, and that would still hand the championship lead over to Tottenham. But there's Marcos Martinez. He's out of the car. Race over for him.
Yeah, now can AC Milan do something about Antti Souček in the Sporting car? This is a really great battle. Look how close they are.
Yeah, it's tight, isn't it? Berman heading down the hill from the hairpin. You can see how hard he's trying. I was talking to his engineer earlier. They're so impressed with the way that Jelmer attacked in free practice and qualifying yesterday, but he just, as you mentioned, overcooked it a little bit into Paddock Hill Bend, and that's what cost him time on the grid. But he sits there at the moment in fourth place. He would only lose the championship lead, we reckon, by a point. But if he gets past this car, he'll hold on to the championship lead. So it's a lot to play for, but it's still a long way to go in the series, and it would be daft to take a real risk here. He is close, though, isn't he? He's really close to the back of that other car.
No, he's incredibly close. Both of them have got no more push to pass left, so this is just raw racing right here. But look how close he is. This is the closest I've seen AC Milan for a long time, and it looks like Sporting is struggling with the problem. Get nice and close, Jelmer, and set up a move coming down the straight. He looks good.
Let's see what he can do coming off clearways, but Souček actually gets the power down well, and there's no chance for Berman here, is there? He's getting as close as he can, but no, needs to be a little bit closer than that. He's got to hope for a mistake from Souček, but the reigning FIA Formula 2 champion doesn't make many mistakes, and for the moment he's safe. And look at the clock ticking away.
Yeah, clock's ticking down. Berman's really running out of time to make a move in Souček. He's really got to do it in the next lap or so, otherwise it's going to be all over. And this man out front looking so smooth, so composed. I'm hugely impressed by John Martin today. I think he's really had the race of the day.
He loves the Brands Hatch circuit, does this gritty Australian. He just loves to attack, and it responds to his attacking style, and he has come good this weekend, no doubt about it. He's already had one victory this season, but to do it here at Brands Hatch is going to mean an absolutely huge amount to him. Into clearways for the final time, and Beijing are going to join a select group of multiple winners in Superleague Formula this year. Beijing wins at Brands Hatch.
Absolutely fantastic. P1 by a country mile. Save fuel, save the tyres, keep the engine cool. Well done.
Thanks guys, awesome. Car was spin. Good stop is great, thanks.
So John very happy. Second for Tottenham, third for Sporting Lisbon, fourth for AC Milan. Fifth place goes to Bordeaux. Good drive that from Frank Montagny. Great stuff. Let's get a word with John Martin. John, this is Ben in the commentary box. Well done, mate. That was a lovely drive.
Yeah, thanks. Car was just absolutely mint. So I got the team to thank, really. This one's for them, definitely. Car was so easy to drive. Got a mega start. Yeah, happy days.
Did you have any worries at all? Were there any moments where you had a scare?
A little bit just at the start when I went when Martinez was on the outside, but I just didn't want to push him too wide. But no, apart from that, the race was just yeah, could have read a book out here, mate.
If only they could all be like that. Well done. Many congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
We will hear more from him, I'm sure, Earl, but he said he could almost have read a book out there. It was that straightforward.
Yeah, no, he was really cruising out front, and it just shows how strong Beijing is. And this man here, our new championship leader.
Yeah, he has taken the lead in the championship by 1 point. Let's see if we can get a word with him. Craig, this is Ben in the commentary box. You have retaken the championship lead by 1 point. Good drive.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. That was a good drive for me and John. Alan Dockin Racing have done a great job this weekend, and yeah, we're back on the pace. Woohoo!
Great stuff, Craig. Give your fans a big wave here, because you've got so much support here today. Well done to you. We'll talk to you in a minute.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And so he heads into pit lane, and you can just feel how much that means to him to retake that championship lead, which he lost last time through no fault of his own when he got taken out at the start.
Yeah, he's just stamped his mark back on it. He doesn't want to let it go. He got it taken from the last round, but he's taking it back in true fashion and true style. But here's the man of the moment, John Martin.
Yeah, the winner. For the second time this season, John Martin has brought it home in a very dominant fashion. And the two guys who are looked after by the same crew on the engineering side, so this is going to be a sort of double celebration for them, isn't it? Alan Docking, who is the team boss in terms of the engineering. He knows so much about Brands Hatch. He's raced so many years here in Formula 3, and now his Australian driver. There's going to be a sort of Aussie celebration here. Alan Docking with John. His dad is here. John's dad is here, of course, this weekend. Always a massive supporter. And there's Craig Dolby, new again championship leader. And Andy Soucek takes his first podium finish in Superleague Formula. And there is a very, very happy team boss as well. But Soucek, who won here at Brands Hatch in Formula 2, has come good as well in Superleague Formula.
Yeah, no, brilliant race. Soucek will be really, really happy. He was aiming for a podium. He got what he wanted, and now he's got a lot of work for this afternoon.
So here we are, the result of the first race. Beijing taking a dominant win by 7.4 seconds over Tottenham. Sporting Lisbon with their first podium of the season, and Andy Soucek up there. Jelmer Berman, though, solid fourth place for AC Milan to keep that championship battle very tight. Frank Montagny for Bordeaux in fifth. Basel in sixth place, moving up well from a lower qualifying position. And Olympiacos not so strong this time in seventh. Galatasaray finished eighth after a troubled pit stop. Ninth place went to Flamengo with Duncan Tappi. And into that top 10 came James Walker for Liverpool. Outside the top 10, we saw FC Porto and Lyon. Also Anderlecht, notably, because they're third in the points coming into this race. Then Atletico Madrid, Corinthians, Seville, Roma and PSV. But let's get down to the pits and some reaction.
Yeah, John, on the outlap, I heard you say to Ben, giddy up, and that was exactly that. Well done, it was a brilliant race.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't so sure on the start, but Martinez, it was a pretty good start. He just sort of went a little bit before the light, so he sort of got a bit caught out there, but switched to the inside, and that was about the race, really. It was just cruise from there. The car was so good, so it's, yeah, really looking forward to race 2 now. We'll make a few little changes, but...
Can you elaborate on that start, though, with Marcos Martinez? Because you probably, to some people's opinion, had the better line going through, but it was still a good risk.
Yeah, but it's sort of like, I guess it's up to the front two to control the pace. But you're not supposed to go before the red lights go out. But he just went a little bit before that, but it was okay. So.
Now, did you expect it to be quite so easy, quite so cruising, like you said in your words, on such a demanding track?
I knew if I got the start, if we got a good start, we had a really good race car. But I didn't think it'd be that good. But no, this is it's even better than Harami. You know, it's just I love this place, and to win here is mega.
Well done, congratulations. Your teammate actually is just to the side of you. Craig Dolby, like he said in the car, it's an amazing weekend so far for Alan Docking Racing. Well done, Craig.
Yeah, it's an awesome job for the boys. The whole crew is awesome, and yeah, we picked ourselves back up with a 1-2 there, and Ben said I've taken the lead of the championship by 1 point, so that's what we were meant to do, and yeah, we've got a rocket ship underneath us again.
But how much pressure is that, though, Craig? You've gone into the lead, but only by 1 point. What have you got to do in race 2?
Hey, I was 8 points behind 45 minutes ago, so I'm fine. So, yeah.
Now, it has been such a brilliant weekend. How important is the teamwork? Alan Docking, it's so vital this weekend because grid positions, pit stops, really is going to make podiums.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like I said, the crew have been fantastic. Me and John have worked really hard together to try and help the car or set up the car. The engineers have been fantastic, and the mechanics have done a great job in the pit stops as well. And yeah, it's just awesome for the boys.
Mechanics have done a great job, so is the driver, because you are still holding a bit of an injury. You're not giving much away, but the last time we spoke, you looked in a lot of pain, but you brought it back round.
Yeah, I mean, it was sore then. The last 15 minutes of that race, you'll start and feel it. So go and put some ice on it, and I'll be ready for race 2.
OK, well done, Craig. And just behind Craig now, in third, his first podium of the season, only his second round this year. Well done, Andy Soucek.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a good race. I mean, I wanted to really fight for the win, but the start was a bit complicated. At the end of the straight lane, they both closed, nearly touched. I was going to stay out of trouble anyway. And, you know, we achieved what we wanted. The team is new. I'm a newcomer in the championship. We are in the podium for the second race of the season. I think it's fantastic.
What is it like, Andy, when you've only got 2 minutes to go and you see the guy that's heading for third place just go off into the gravel?
I have to say, I felt good at that point, but I feel sorry about him, obviously. You know, it's always a shame to lose a race like that. I was battling for the place, so therefore I feel good because I know I could have done it anyway. I could have passed him on the last 3 laps. He had the tires a bit worse than mine. I had new tires, so I had a good chance, but he made it easy for me.
Well, it's an impressive comeback. Well done.
Thanks, Abby. And yeah, good to see Andy Soucek, who, as I mentioned, was on the podium a couple of times here last year in a different category. He's now done it in Super League. But this was the moment that John Martin took the checkered flag here at Brands Hatch. One of his favourite circuits. He's raced here many times in the past, but an important victory, this one, no doubt about it. And second place, we could hear the emotion from Craig Dolby, how delighted he has to taken that championship lead again by just 1 point. Still 2 more races to go here, though, at Brands Hatch today. Lots more work to be done to see who emerges from Brands with the championship lead, and it won't be anybody by a huge amount, I wouldn't think. Just ready for the presentations to be made. Robin Webb, the Superleague Formula competition director there, ready to hand out the trophies. Of course, we've got 2 more races to go, so the minds are still sort of focused a little bit on looking ahead, but let's take a moment to enjoy this. Andy Soucek, only his second event back in Super League. He was in Super League in the first year, 2008, but his best result in that season, a sort of partial season, was a 5th place. So this is a special moment. Also special for Craig Dolby. Started 4th on the grid, came through to finish in 2nd place. So that's got to feel good.
Yeah, it's got to feel good for him. But here's the man of the moment, John Martin.
Yeah, the big smile says it all, doesn't it, from John Martin? And yeah, lovely to see that. It's going to be tough, of course, second race though, isn't it? Because he's got to come from the back.
Yeah, it's very, very tough. And I think for the second race, it's about consolidating the positions and aiming for that super final. That's what these 3 guys are going to be aiming for.
Yeah, get the points, try and become one of the top 6 point scorers of the 2 races. Then you get in the super final, and then you can chase a €100,000 prize. So lots to look forward to there. Well, the guys are going to stand there for the pictures and have their images taken, but then they've got to start the preparations. It's only a couple of hour gap between the end of this race and the start of the second race. And remember, race 2 is another 45-minute race. Let's get some reaction now from Marcos Martinez, who missed out on a podium.
Marcos, so disappointing. You only had 2 minutes to go and it had been your first podium of the season. What's that feeling like?
Yeah, really disappointed, you know. The start was not really good for me. I lost one position in the start, another one in the middle of the race because I made a mistake in the first corner. But my pace was good, and my object was finished on the podium. I was third, very comfortable, and I was waiting for the last lap, and the car has
It's all for race 2 though, Marcos. I feel your disappointment. Well done anyway.
So Marcos Martinez bitterly disappointed, but let's just confirm the points scored in that first race. Beijing Guan taking the 50 points for the win, Tottenham 45 for second, and AC Milan 36 for fourth. And that's the big story, really, because the gap between Tottenham and AC Milan was pretty close coming into this race, and now it's still even closer with AC Milan having taken the lead, dropped to second place in the championship. The other points scored, as you can see further down the list, Corinthians were well out of luck, and PSV will start from pole, of course, for the second race of the day. And Narain Carter-Cairn could well be a challenger for the win there. So we're looking forward to the second race. This is how the championship will be going into it. 1 point the advantage for Tottenham over AC Milan, with Basel, Anderlecht and Olympiacos very close behind. We'll be back later on with the second race and the super final. Hope you can join us then. Bye-bye for now.